Warren Buffett is seeing substantial inflation. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heiser here, and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to have a look at a recent, a portion of the Berkshire Hathaway investor meeting, the annual meeting, and we'll have a look at Warren Buffett's comments on seeing substantial inflation. Now, before we jump to that, let's just have a look at the moment. Right now, the US has 2.6% inflation. So it's climbing back up. And I know there's some people that aren't fans of the CPI and would argue for other methods. Politically, this is what's going to be used to make decisions, so we have to understand that. Now, we're starting to see inflation in a lot of things. Crude oil is creeping up. You've got wheat skyrocketing. Look at that, $742. Now, these were all snippets I captured from Trading Economics just a few moments before I recorded this. Soybeans are up. Lumber is up. It's at record highs, everyone. The meme, the joke of someone driving past a billionaire or a millionaire and they've got a trailer full of timber. Here we have iron ore. It's at 187, very high. Something that a lot of Australians are quite happy with. Steel as well. It's going right up. And, well, so inflation definitely is present. Now the question is this transitory? Is this just temporary inflation or long-term? Is this going to be the beginning of hyperinflation that some people are worried about? And do you trust the Federal Reserve? Do you trust Jerome Powell? I asked that question in a video on my Heiser Says US channel. Have a look at that. But now let's jump to this portion from the interview, or the presentation.
This question from Chris Freed from Philadelphia, and whoever wants to take this on stage. From raw material purchases by Berkshire subsidiaries, are you seeing signs of inflation beginning to increase?
Let me answer that. Greg can give more. We're seeing very substantial inflation. It's very interesting. I mean, we're raising prices. People are raising prices to us. And it's being accepted. I mean, it's not, if we get, well, take home building. I mean, the cost of, we've got 9 home builders, and in addition to our manufactured housing thing, and then operation, which is the largest in the country. So we really do a lot of housing. The costs are just up. Steel costs, just every day, they're going up, and there hasn't yet been, because the wage stuff follows. I mean, if the UAW writes a 3-year contract, we got a 3-year contract. But if you're buying steel at General Motors or someplace, you're paying more every day. It's an economy really. It's red hot. I mean, and we weren't expecting it. I mean, all our companies, when they thought when they were allowed to go back to work, at our various operations, we closed the furniture stores. I mentioned, they were closed for 6 weeks or so on average, and they didn't know what was going to happen when they opened. And
So, is this a supply side issue that they haven't prepared or anticipated this huge demand coming back? And that's what we're seeing here.
They can't stop people from buying things, and we can't deliver them. And they say, well, that's okay, because nobody else can deliver them either, and we'll wait for 3 months or something. Sort of the backlog grows, and then we thought it would end when the $600 payments ended, and I think, around August of last year. It just kept going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And I get the figures every week. I call, or Blumkin calls me, and we go over day by day what happened at 3 different stores in Chicago and Kansas City and Dallas, and it just won't stop. People have money in their pocket, and they pay the higher prices, and when carpet prices go up in a month or two, we announced a price increase for April. For our costs are going up. Supply chains all screwed up.
So is this one of the reasons perhaps people are anticipating, or we're seeing announcements of price increases? We're seeing shrinkflation being discussed in the retail sector as well. We even looked at Mattel, where they've anticipated price increases just for the suppliers there. A lot of businesses are talking about this. Could this be one reason why people are diving into the market, diving into a real asset, into property? Because they're worried that their purchasing power of their money is going to be eroded. But then, why aren't we seeing that in the traditional safe havens for inflation, which is gold and silver?
For all kinds of people. But it's almost a buying frenzy, except certain areas you can't buy it. You really can't buy international air travel, and so the money is being diverted from a piece of the economy into the rest, and everybody's got more cash in their pocket except for. Meanwhile, it's a terrible situation for a percentage of the people. This suit, I haven't worn a suit, for a year practically, and that means that the dry cleaner nurse just went out of business. I mean, and nobody's bringing in suits to get dry cleaned, and nobody's bringing in white shirts to get the place where my wife goes. The small business person, if you didn't have takeout and delivery services for restaurants, you got killed.
That's a really good point. I mean, it's the small businesses that seem to be hitting it. And, I used to wear a suit every day, guys, a suit and pocket square every day when I went to business, when I went networking, and I'd pay for dry cleaning exactly. And since I've moved home, well, you kind of can see what I'm wearing, guys, the Hawaiian shirts.
On the other hand, if you've got takeout facilities, same source sales of Dairy Queen are up a whole lot, and they adapted. But it is not a price-sensitive economy right now in the least, and I don't know exactly how it shows up in different price indices, but there's more inflation going on than quite a bit more inflation going on than people would have anticipated just 6 months ago or thereabouts.
Yeah, and there's one very intelligent man who thinks it's dangerous, and that's just the start.
You probably are in a good position.
Yeah, well, Warren, I think you touched on it. I mean, when we look at steel prices, timber prices, any petroleum input, fundamentally there's pressure on those raw materials. I do think something you've touched on, Warren, and it goes really back to the raw materials. There's a scarcity of product right now of certain raw materials. It's impacting price and the ability to deliver the end product. But that scarcity factor is also real out there right now as our businesses address that challenge. And it may be some of that's contributed or arisen from the storm we previously discussed in Texas. When you take down that many petrochemical plants in one state that the rest of the country is very dependent upon it, we're seeing it flow through both on price but overall in scarcity of product, which obviously go together. But there's challenges, that's for sure.
So there we have it, everyone. Warren Buffett is seeing, substantial inflation manifesting in all the different goods that we've talked about. They're flowing through and they're increasing the prices, but people are still buying. People are still buying. So that's the thing. What's the lesson, or what's the takeaway here? I mean, the solutions to it. How do you position yourself? Traditionally, people would, I think in Australia, it's property where people will dive into. I think Australia, property is Aussie gold. Because the average punter I can't see going to a precious metal shop and buying a hunk of gold or a hunk of silver. It's just not part of our culture anymore. It's been so long. Maybe in the 30s, there was still a culture associated with that. Does that even exist now? I mean, look at here. Look at gold. We've got talk of inflation. CPI is going up. Goods are going up. Property is going up. Gold has barely budged. Bitcoin is rocketing to the moon. Are you raising your prices in your business, everyone? How are you able to absorb this cost? Have you noticed it yet in your day-to-day? We have a lot of viewers in the construction sector. It would be quite interesting. I know in architecture, I feel like I haven't been able to raise prices since the GFC. It's been, it's a pretty suppressed level. What do you reckon? We'll have to see what happens here. And how have you positioned yourself? Do you think this is transitory? Are we going to see this inflation dissipate once supply issues resolve? I mean, because you've got all the shipping issues, you've had businesses who've just didn't expect this uptick in demand. Here in Australia, we had the bushfires and we've had the droughts. All of these things are impacting supply of goods and services. Do you think that, because remember, prices are just signals in the market. Do you think they'll flow through and prices will reduce back down, or is this the beginning of rampant hyperinflation? And then why isn't gold or silver responding to that, the traditional safe havens? If the market expects it to just be transitory, will it just be transitory? So let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can sign up for Self-Wealth or Stake for the share trading. Use our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Aussie Broadband. You can buy our merch, Pocket Squares, that I used to wear all the time. I really should get the suit out again. Or good old Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode.